Avery, some of the players were, especially Corbin, was talking about the quarterback meetings. We talked, I guess, a week or so ago how that kind of opened things up. How much has that freedom kind of created more offensive flow a little bit?
It's been tremendous for us. I used to do it a lot on the NBA level, and talking to my coaching staff, they said, well, you need it even more on this level. You spend more time with your quarterbacks or point guards or guards, just to get them to understand how my brain works, what I see on the floor, where I think the problem areas are for us offensively, but where our strengths are. So that's a time to watch video, break down our offense, break down our opponent's defense before we come in and meet with the group. So I've seen some tremendous fruit and progress from those meetings with those guys, and that gives them a chance in an intimate setting to ask me more questions, not only from a coaching standpoint, but what would I do as a player if I was in their situation.
Avery, Missouri's had some games where they've been close at the end and haven't been able to finish, but they seem like they're able to score pretty well. What do you see in this game?
If you look at their last 5 games, outside of one game, maybe their game at Arkansas, they were winning at halftime. And if you're winning at halftime, then you're doing some things right. So we have to do a better job of coming out, number one, and taking care of the ball so that we can get back and get what we think could be a pretty good defense set to play them and to be in position to rebound. But this is a team that shoots the 3 just as much as Vanderbilt. And even though they haven't made them at a high clip, then that's a way that they get offensive rebounds and what we call 50-50 balls. So this is a game, Riley Norris can't be the only guy that put on his hard hat. Everybody that steps on the floor better be ready to put on their hard hat, because this is a physical team.
Is there any concern about maybe overconfidence heading into this one?
Hold on. You're not at the Mal Moore building. I'm serious. We're in Coleman Coliseum. I'm serious. Overconfident for us?
You guys are on a roll. They haven't won yet.
We're not on a roll. Not to me. I think we'll really be on the roll if we can ever get to the tournament like 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row. I don't consider this a roll. So I don't think there should be any level of overconfidence. We haven't really done anything. I think if we get to a point ever in conference and we run off 10 in a row, and maybe there might be some grounds to be overconfident, but not now. We still have a tremendous amount of work to do. If you look at our games, the Mississippi State game could have gone either way. The Vanderbilt game, Armand Davis had to come off the bench and give us a spark for us to win that game. The LSU game was tied 56 with 5 minutes to go, and we were able to go on a little bit of a run. So there's no grounds for us to be overconfident. Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah.
When you were in Birmingham, you talked about leadership. You needed someone to step up on leadership. You just talked about what's changed from. I feel like after that game, you guys just really started the chemistry on the team. Just kind of talk about what's changed from that point to now.
Well, that was a game that we weren't very good in any phase of the game. And I had a long talk with our guys back at the hotel before we went to Huntsville. And I talked to them about who are our leaders. Okay, I know I'm the leader, but who are our leaders? Because I'm hoarse because I'm the only one communicating on every pick and roll situation, every post-up situation. You guys are not talking on the floor. You're not talking to each other on the free throw line. So we started getting better leadership out of Corbin Collins. We started getting better leadership out of AJ, better leadership out of Jimmy Taylor, more communication out of Bola on the floor. So that's when things started to turn. And as we talked about earlier, you know, my guards, the quarterbacks, started taking more ownership and responsibility, and that's what we're growing them into.
What's been the key, especially rebounding the ball the way y'all have, and then really, Braxton was talking about there's a sheet in the locker room, and y'all kind of measure and kind of hold yourselves to account.
Yeah, we hold ourselves accountable, but you know, getting back to what we were talking about being overconfident, we can't be overconfident even in the area of rebounding and assume anything. we have to go after the ball hard, and we have to be fierce competitors on the floor, but we chart rebounding. And you know, we have a defensive rating system that holds everybody accountable. Now we've developed an offensive rating system, which is a lot more in detail offensively, which has showed us some things. So we think the team that rebounds, the team that gets to the free throw line more, that's a sign of aggression.
How everything is with Nick King? Anything new with him?
No, Nick is still out. He's been going to the doctor weekly, checking, his lungs. He had a serious lung infection, and I think in the next week or two, we'll have a more detailed report on his progress. But he's not ready to practice. His body's been totally deconditioned. He's just been doing some light stuff, lightly riding the bike, but he hasn't been released to practice yet.
You think he'll be back this year at any point?
You know what? I think we have to wait. We still have a long season left, a lot of the season left. So give us another week or two, and once he continues to go through all of the protocols that he's going through, I'll have a more firm update for you in the next week or two.
Is he? Another one or two questions. Is Nick out of the woods as far as like any long-term effects?
Yes. Yeah, he's out of the effects. Yeah, long-term effects, but there's still some short-term situations that we're going through.
You mentioned Corbin. How big was his performance against LSU?
The funny thing is, we had a situation, I don't know if you guys noticed, Charlie, out on the court, he missed a three, and I said, okay, let's run that play again, and everybody act like you got on purple and gold jerseys, because we know what you can do against a team that wears purple and gold. Yeah. Now we need you to have that type of confidence against every team, because we need him. We're missing a guy that made 72 threes for us last year, and all that was, that's a pretty big shoes to fill. And we're not saying Corbin's got to make 72 threes, but what he showed you in the LSU game, not necessarily to the tune of making 7 threes, but that's the reason why we signed him. We needed some help from behind the three-point line, and we, more than anything, with Rhett not being here, we needed his leadership.
He kind of said that it really didn't affect him going into that game. He really wasn't thinking about playing LSU. But could you really? I mean, you're a guy that likes those competitive games. Those going back home games for you personally. That was home.
That's like me saying the Spurs didn't want to re-sign me, and I go and play with another team, and when I go back to play against San Antonio, oh, it's just another game. That's not accurate. Totally accurate. But Corbin, he's a pretty faithful, spiritual man. I'm not saying he lied, okay. But there's that competitive fire in all of us, right? You get, I'm sure if one of our guys transferred to another school, and then we play against that school, they're probably going to want to show Coach Avery what he's missing out on. That's just part of it. But one thing Corbin did a great job was keeping his emotions in check while playing at a high level.
All right,
anybody else?